Is there like a blinking or anything?
Uh, yeah, it says recording now.
Okay, we'll just roll with it and
Yeah,
hopefully
let's go forward.
it'll work.
It feels like I'm taking a job interview.
You are for
But
some.
I'm the one interviewing you, so
Yeah, but I asked for it because
fair
I'm
enough.
paid.
Keep this in the B-roll.
B-roll. No, this is the start. We're just gonna leave it in the beginning. Does my
Sweet.
background
Yeah.
look okay?
Yeah, it looks like you have curtains, a
Yeah,
curtain,
a
oh,
tapestry as a curtain.
badly badly assembled. God,
Yeah,
look at my background. It's so much better.
I know. I should have had Moises draw us something.
Yeah. For the next interview.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I will take control from here
Oh, oh, excuse me.
of this conversation, and yeah, good luck editing.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
uh, all right. So, we've known each other for a while. I would say,
Like
yeah.
what? 8 years now?
Time flies. But would you want to, do the audience a favor and introduce yourself in brief? But go on.
Yeah. I am Joseph Fisher-Schramm. I mostly write music, but then like every once in a while we work on other stuff, which is how this whole video game thing came in to be. And then, uh, what about you? How do you want to introduce yourself?
I am just a human being on this planet. Okay. Sounds like you've got, a lot going on with music and like you're making games now.
Ish.
Yeah. So I'm curious, why the title Gunpowder Tea?
Uh, I think because it's how. Should I turn my brightness up? Wait a minute. Is that better to you? Does it make a
Yeah,
difference?
it's fine. It's all right.
Okay. Um, so like we learned about all of these different like places and people that inspire the thing from Henry Rollins. So like my brother was
For people who don't know who Henry Rollins is, do you want to give a brief introduction to who Henry Rollins is?
he did music and he does like sort of stand-up shows and he also is an actor and a voice actor. You may have seen him on like Sons of Anarchy. He was in Avatar Legend of Korra, which is pretty sick. But he also writes books and he likes to travel to different countries.
Ah, that's fair enough. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so we learned about these bands uh, from Caleb watching stuff about Henry Rollins talking about going to like Mali and the like concerts as they would do just in the middle of the desert. So gunpowder tea is a kind of tea that they would make over there. I think it's like a rolled green tea with mint in it, and it also just sounds really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It does sound like a catchy title.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so you've got a good title, and I'm pretty sure you've thought about the story aspects and everything else. So who's involved in this project? Could you give a brief timeline of how this project came to be?
Yeah. In August of 2019, I ran into like this free software made by a guy named Chris Maltby. So I was trying to mess with it, and like I have no idea how to code. I was just watching like YouTube tutorials. You know how to code, so you can attest to like the process of like self learning the basics of this kind of stuff. But I would still make the same like what are they called, like parse errors that I think anybody would. It's like, why didn't this happen? And then you wait for 3 hours just staring at the same like this much. And I got the idea for the story from just working on the same thing every day. And as I do, I just kind of like rope my friends into these things. So I was like, Moises, I got more reasons to make art. And Moises said, cool. And I ran into somebody who has coding experience and has messed in like game jams and stuff at like a gig in December 2019, back when we still had shows. So I don't know if they want their names out necessarily yet, but she was interested and has more knowledge on this kind of stuff than I do, and is actually a really good like visual artist as well. So she pretty much was like, "Here, I'll help you with the part that you don't understand." And so I'm very slowly learning actual coding ish. Of course, Michael Johnson's involved because he has to be. Did you meet Michael Johnson?
I think I did, yes.
I don't remember.
Perhaps not.
I started really hanging out with him right about the time that you left me.
Eventually everyone does.
Ow.
Anyway, let's not get carried away. There's going to be a section at the end where we can get carried away.
Nah, dude.
I'm saving you the editing trouble.
Nah, dude. Yeah, those are the main four, I think. And then like my current roommate, so roommate Zoe, is also a visual artist. They did the album cover for Orchid, that new single that came out.
Yeah.
And so they're helping with some of the visual art aspects as well. And so currently it's a team of like 5 people working on the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then also subsequently working on any other random projects that come up. And then yeah, I forgot, we're talking about the album too. So on the music side, Joey, who plays in the band, he is mixing and doing the guitar parts, some of them. Some other dudes in the band, like Chris, is on some of it, and Alex Hunter did some guitar. Also, if you haven't heard his band ALG, dude, I'll send you the. Oh man, dude, their latest album that came out is genuinely just like really good.
Interesting.
He sings on some of it.
Huh.
Yeah, I know.
Damn, that's
our baby boy.
That's awesome.
The album is called O, K. O-H-K.
Oh, I need to listen to it. It's great. Sounds.
Yeah. Are you
for the audience who don't know, Alex was one of your boys' roommates here.
Yeah. Probably like I still say this, like one of the best all-around guitarists I've ever known.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely capable of just about anything. He was supposed to record the guitar part battle theme alongside Joey, because like I knew it needed to have those two parts that like are mostly together and then kind of like break off. And so I was like, who are 2 great guitarists that I know? And then Alex got really busy, so he couldn't record on that particular one. And I was like, crap, I gotta learn it. And that was a mistake. But no, it turned out okay. It was just practice.
Any particular reason why you targeted Game Boy as a platform, apart from it being tiny and cute? Like a tangible reason, something that's more rooted in fact and not perception.
As much as I'm aware of what I'm good at, there are things that I know are either just like beyond my ability, or there's like so much time in the learning process that I just don't have the heart to put in right now. So like anytime I think about really focusing on learning coding or like animation, I've made those tiny cartoons before too, but it's like to really put in that time alone, I'm just gonna get bored, or like I could be working on something else. So running into GB Studio, which is a free, I think, open source software, but it's free. Anybody can mess with this thing and like make your own little game. I made the sprites in Photoshop at first. So like literally anybody can do this. And then I gotta grab something off screen. Say hi to my bass.
Okay.
So my brother and sister-in-law got this for me. So I guess part of the reason that I have an affinity for the Game Boy, besides like growing up, like I was born in '95, so like Anybody born in that era knows what Pokemon is.
That's going to be my next question, but go on. Oh, I had the same one.
I never had
Oh,
the Johto games whenever I was a kid. I had to buy this later.
oh, dude, I had the same Game Boy Color. Oh, I lost it.
Yeah.
Oh man, this
You want to
put
hear?
it away. Put it away. It
You want to
brings
hear?
out dark memories.
Actually, let me show you. This is how I get all the peeps. This is how everybody's like into Joseph.
Right.
In 2018, maybe 2019, I got the gold and silver edition Game Boy also.
Oh, all right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's your
It's just
that's
like it's just
yeah.
cute. But then Alex, who is also like really into retro gaming stuff, showed me this thing, which is called an EverDrive. They make them for a bunch of different consoles.
Uh-huh.
But what you can do is like load this SD card with .gv
Oh,
ROMs.
and then you can play the game that you coded. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
exactly.
cool.
So I could like immediately,
Test it out.
yeah, and just play it. And so it was fun and like pretty quick satisfaction of like,
And potentially you can play any game.
yeah, but don't. I
Yeah,
mean,
obviously not.
the reason that it was originally on Game Boy is just because I knew that I could figure it out. Like it was a
Right.
simple enough software, and I could watch video tutorials and figure out like basic components. But whenever I finished the demo, I had wondered what I was going to do because I wanted to make a full game. Like I had already had like a loose idea for a story by the time the demo was done.
So
But
wait, so you thought of the platform first, and then you went about writing the story for it.
yeah, it was just like again, it was something that I knew that I could sort of figure out. It felt safe enough for me to learn and still kind of stretch my brain without it being so intimidating as like trying to like look at a wall of code or something. But at this point, we're working on another version of the demo, whether or not we put this one out in an updated version of GB Studio, so it'll have color and it has more like CPU capabilities, so it'll still be
Gotcha.
Game Boy. But the final product, if we ever get far enough to do like a commercial release of a full-fledged video game, that's going to be in modern software, like a modern engine.
Got it. Okay, that's actually quite ambitious.
Yeah, you know me.
Yes, I do. Every day I regret it. Anyway, moving on. Um, so I can see how it's inspired by Pokemon games. How is your game different? Like, how is it not a Pokemon clone?
Well, this is also going to be an interesting question for you because, like, you tried the demo.
Yes,
You loved the demo. You thought it
yes.
was the best game you've ever played.
The very best AAA title.
um, but I don't know how many games you will have known, like, because I know you don't play a whole lot of video games.
Not a lot, but I used to when I had the Game Boy and then it was stolen from me. Anyway,
We'll need to
moving
get you.
on.
We're gonna send you a Game Boy. We gotta get you a Game Boy.
Just send me a Game Boy.
Yeah, dude. We're gonna get you
Oh,
on that OG route.
the pain relapse.
Um, so the way that the battle mechanics are going to work in the way that I have it imagined. Like I wrote the story and like like I'm a narrative guy.
Right.
I didn't really think much of the battle system at first. It was a wonder that I got that tiny version to work in the game in the demo that has like working components for missing and actually like doing the right amount of damage and not accidentally looping. Because oh, this is weird. In GB Studio, you have to like set up a program for catching like less than or equal directing to zero. Because what I did by accident at first is if you like knock health to something that would be zero or lower, it would go into the negatives and loop back.
Yes, that happens.
So I don't remember the question. Oh,
The
yes.
question was, how is it not a Pokemon clone?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the games Earthbound or Undertale?
Heard of them. I wanted to play them for a while, but it's not crossed my my
Yeah.
time.
Both Very similar. Like Undertale is super influenced by Earthbound, and kind of like how the Mars Volta is completely influenced by At the Drive-In for some reason. No,
Who knows?
so, man, if we find the like Undertale, Earthbound, Mars Volta niche, we're set.
Very specific demographic.
Yeah. So in Earthbound, it's like super quirky. It wasn't like making fun of other RPGs at the time because that came out in '95, I think. But it knew what it wanted to be, and it was kind of silly and lighthearted while also like hitting intense moments. Undertale is very similar in that sense, and an important aspect of Undertale is that you don't have to kill everything, and the way that those games are turn based is much more influential to me. Especially like there's a lot of things in Earthbound that I think make games a lot less boring
Mm-hmm.
that not many do. And so things that I want to keep from Pokemon are like the fighting system is like relatively simple to figure out. Like, oh, this is a rock type move. I'm gonna throw a rock at the bird. Stuff that like is kind of intuitive. Whereas some games that I've tried, because I've gotten significantly more interested in video games as I decided I wanted to try and make one. So I've been trying out a bunch of different stuff. It's like, how am I supposed to know like what this robot thing that shoots missiles responds to? Which is not to dog on those games, but like I want it to feel like relatively intuitive. I also don't want it to be super long. Uh, so it's going to feel more referential to stuff like Earthbound and Undertale than Pokemon. Pokemon, I don't think can get out of anything that I've ever done because I like there's too much nostalgia from whenever I was, 4 or whatever. But
Yes.
do you know who Chris Steele is? Mandolin player. Huge influence on me lately. His music is really great. I'll send some your way. Um, I've been watching like a series of like master classes that he's been doing. So just talking about different aspects of different material, different approaches to music. And he mentions that an important aspect is to remember sort of your true north in terms of your artistic preferences and your way of delivering whatever you're going to do. So that's something that I think we all have to have that, of course, because that shows what we're going to like and what we're going to dislike. So I think stuff that's ingrained in my true north at this point, from a musical standpoint, is stuff like Omar, because I've been listening to him now for about 10 years, and his approach to everything is very influential to me. Gorillas, but from like a narrative standpoint and just a sense of wonder. I mean, that's why people still play Pokemon as adults now. It's such a like an inviting world full of all of these mystical animals. So I think that that sort of approach is something that I want it to have. I want it to be sort of an inviting game, and I think that's something that not even just in video games, but as I like work on stories beyond like new stories, whether it be like a concept album or like a comic book series or whatever larger narrative I want to have, I think that I want it to embrace more of that sort of not even necessarily like positive energy, but just sort of like a sense of wonder, like Miyazaki films, like Studio Ghibli. I don't know if you're familiar with that either.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to approach stuff in the sense of like Oscar Wilde as much anymore. It was funny, but like I don't know. It's just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're a bit older now, so your tastes are maturing as you're growing up. So
I
yeah, it
hope
stands
so.
to reason.
I'm glad you think that.
Yeah,
Listening back to like old drafts of songs for like the purpose of another project I'm considering doing, and some of them I'm like, wow, this still holds up. And most of them with lyrics, I was like, wow, this doesn't hold up.
that's the point of self-reflection on
Yeah,
on the material that you worked on when you were a kid.
go at it.
Um, so it sounds to me like you take your influences very close to heart, and having heard your material in the past, and heard the story behind all of that material, I know how personal your artistic expression gets, and so everything that you do is essentially you narrating an aspect of your life
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. So, as far as this game is concerned, is this completely fictional, or does it have elements from your personal life that you've like put in?
Yeah, this one is significantly less personal in that sense. Like, um, I guess like you said, that's part of maturing. Like I'm 25 now, so uh, I've reached a lot of like points in myself where like I know who I am and I know how to do what I want to do to a certain extent, of course, you know. But like I don't need to be as self-referential as I was. So this story takes a lot of historical influence. The It doesn't take place like in this exact world necessarily, which you wouldn't expect from a piece of fiction anyway. But the concept of like building a dam on somebody's homeland is directly from me thinking about like Hamza El-Din, the oud player, and the building of the Aswan High Dam in Egypt that flooded the homeland of the Nubian people. That is like a direct pull of like what would happen in a different circumstance. So the country that this world of Gunpowder Tea takes place in, where these guys live, was like within their century recently decolonized. So like a new resurgence of royalty onto like a recently liberated peoples, and like kind of just my thought process on how politics could work whenever like it's not working, like what's going to happen next.
I see. Sounds like you spent quite a time, quite a while, world building and thinking about different aspects of the story. I've got two questions for that then. Question number one, did you use any software or anything to maintain all the aspects of world building? Question number two is, uh, in your research, did you have to go and read a bunch of books, or how did you come about any fictional influences that you drew from? We know there's a lot of alternate history in science fiction and TV and movies and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So when you say software to work on world building, do you mean from a like a writing sense, or what do you mean?
Yeah, so like when authors they need to write a novel or a series of novels which have fictional characters and there's a bit of world building involved, they use like specialized software to create character sheets and maintain like a bunch of threads that tie in together in the narrative.
Oh, okay, I got you. No, I'm not technologically conscious, as you know. Like, uh, like you remember me sitting at a computer, like, do I need to update this thing? What is the internet? Where is the internet? No, but I did. I mean, just like in video games, there's something called like a game design document, essentially like a functioning like they call it like a character bible, I think, in shows, just a way to keep continuity and concepts going and evolving. And the first time that this group of people met to talk about the project was February 2020. Like the last time that people could meet up. So I had one time to really like get these people's knowledge that I didn't have on how to put the stuff together. So there's a couple of written out forms for the storyline, but most of it, because I'm kind of an old man in that sense, is just me like writing in notepads and then uploading these pictures to people. And I'm like, we'll figure it out.
Sounds very archaic.
I I don't like using computers if I don't have to.
You're
Especially
writing a game.
shut up. Well, what I mean is like if you work too much in software, you let not everybody, but like it's so much easier to roll with what's easier and let that software kind of like direct you into templates. And I don't want continuity. I don't want to be like forced into continuity whenever something could be better.
So
Like
you saying you hate efficiency?
kind of, yeah, efficiency's bad for art.
Very cool. You should put that on a t-shirt and sell it.
um,
Um,
What was the second question?
the second question. Oh
Oh,
God.
uh, the like impact of specific like fictional
Oh
references.
yeah, yeah. So like in your research, did you read actual history? Did you reference any alternate history fiction?
Um, well, just in like learning about these different cultures of North Africa and like the things that some of these band members had to do, like I don't know how much you know about Tenariwen, but like they well, a lot of them have been in war. One of them was kidnapped by ISIS for a period of time. So another that's another good reason to like listen to music from other parts of the world than your own. You inherently will learn about these people, and so just from that sense, just a little bit about the warfare that goes on there and like the Arab Spring War. Um, Not well read. Not going to claim to be. One of the members of one of these influential bands made a really sick like acid western movie set in like Agadez in that area. So that's really cool. I don't know if that story was necessarily directly influential. I don't think any fictional stories were directly impactful, but I've just been trying to just pay attention. like
You, go on. Sorry.
we've been I've just been watching movies and trying to read books. Reading's hard, but I've been trying. And then just keeping an open mind, I think. Just anything that pops up.
Yeah, and I think because we uh, we heard a lot of Mars Volta while in college. I
Yeah.
feel like their album, The Bedlam and Goliath, since it's based around that concept and
Oh
around
yeah.
that area, I think subconsciously it kind of makes its way into some of our artistic expressions. Do
I
you
don't
think that's accurate?
I don't think I could get away from it. Yeah. Like not anything that has electric guitar especially. My Mars Volta influence has to be in there. Like I just can't get away from it. I know.
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about music, especially the demos that you've written for this game as part of the soundtrack.
Especially
Uh,
like, that's technically what I'm supposed to be promoting right now.
Probably.
No, I'm not mad at you. I'm just thinking.
So like I heard a lot of different influences, and it serves the timeline and it serves the geography of the area that it's set in. So I understand why you wrote the way you did,
Yeah.
and good job. Like personally, I feel you've done a really good job. I wanted to ask about your approach to writing, like instrument-based music, as opposed to these games usually having MIDI-based music.
Oh yeah. Um, Originally, I did try to write it on software, but using this particular software, you have to use a kind of file that's not easy to generate because with older video games, to input music, you essentially have to do like a music-based form of coding. And anytime that I would try to learn it, I would make small progress and big rage. So I gave up. So the original demo had one test song, which if you open it up, the title screen music at that is a really sped up version of me attempting to do the draft of the hometown theme, and I just kind of was mad, and I didn't want to try and do it. So whenever I figured out that we could make it in a modern software and just use whatever music, like have you ever heard of the game Cuphead?
Yes.
Yeah, so the composer of that game had never composed for a video game before, and he said, "Let me just write full-fledged pieces of music." So most of the score is like 4 minutes long songs that you just don't hear all of in the game because he wanted to make sure that he thought consciously of making it feel like succinct compositions mainly just because he wasn't used to writing stuff that looped like that. Um, I don't know where that thought process was going. Oh yeah, so essentially the reason that I went to live instruments is because I was like, this whole world is inspired by the guitar based blues music of this area. Why would I not use the thing that I have the most experience in, which is music, to help make this world feel alive? So the mixtape music is going to be the music used in the first like modern engine based demo for the game. And then whenever if we ever have the privilege of making like a full game, like the full world, I want to record it from scratch again. Maybe like change some themes or reuse some stuff. There are some pieces that are more orchestral that we didn't put on the mixtape that I've already written for the game. But it basically just came down to like this is the thing that I'm best at anyway, so it feels kind of like a disservice to this world and myself to not just record a bunch of music.
Yeah, yeah, that's good answer. Yeah, so that's what I thought. Because yeah, he knows instrumental music way more than MIDI music, so he's gonna go for that, which isn't a wrong assumption. You just took time to get to it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
So
envy.
my final question to you is that the game seems promising. You worked on the soundtrack, and you're going to release a soundtrack, and to me that sounds good. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people out there are going to enjoy the soundtrack, and I guess when you do release the game, the the influence of the soundtrack is going to be prevalent in everyone who plays the game, who's heard the soundtrack. It's just going to be an added experience. So, assuming this takes off, right? This, you've got a successful title on your hand. Do you see this as like a one and done? Like you had this story, you've told a story for this game, and it's done, and you want to do something else, or do you see you want to build upon this world and introduce newer characters in like a sequel like structure, or even do you want to keep making games after this one?
So, in that same Game Boy software, I've already messed around with drafts of another game that we've sort of worked on in Unity's engine. So, no, there's already like there are other ideas for video games that I've thought of. Uh, you know me, there's like 7, but how many will actually ever go anywhere? It's hard to say. Um, I'll bring this one up because I don't think it's realistic to ever have it made, but I think it would be so funny. Is a fighting game, but you play as the presidents and vice presidents of the U.S., and it would be called Articles of Confrontation.
Sounds amazing, but good luck getting the rights.
I I don't think you can. I don't think that that's a concern. Oh, I guess for modern presidents, it could be using my likeness as some sort of issue, especially if they're businessmen who just so happen to become president. But I'm not thinking of anybody in particular.
Oh no, not the rights from the actual presidents, rights from all the media companies that have used the actual presidents for their content, who are going to demonetize your videos when you put them up on YouTube.
Yeah, Gene Simmons is gonna sue me. He's gonna be involved somehow. Um, I have other ideas for video games related or not related to Gunpowder Tea. Um, One of them's a platformer, one of them's sort of a virtual pet simulator. I just go, and then if anything ever works out, sick. Um, but an interesting personal development in terms of Gunpowder Tea's world. This is one of the first times that I've really thought about proper expansion on a concept. I've thought of ideas for stories before, and I mean, you've read some of my like miniseries and stuff. But even with most of those, there's not really a thought of continuity. Since this is such a broad world, I have storylines already set up for the origin of these characters and the origin of this country, and then potentials for like a gunpowder tea for two. Silly little pun for you. Um, so yeah, this game has a few different endings, and I have one that is the canonical like best ending, the one that leads into the next sequel. If we ever get to make that, or even if it's not a video game, there's a story already kind of set up for before and after this one part of this world. Yeah, you know how like when you ask a question and someone could have just said yes.
Oh, it's an interview. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Whether you keep it in the edit or not is up to you.
It's not up to me. I'm just gonna publish this whole thing, including like the random pauses.
Great. Yeah, very similar to how we used to do things in the past. Speaking of which, I'm out of questions. Thank you for explaining and answering all my questions. And now from here on out, it's just it's a rant space. We're ranting now.
Yeah.
You can invite your flatmate if you want. You can join in the rant.
Yeah. If this is put up on a thing with a comment section, just start complaining. um. So yeah, you had planned questions. Is there anything else about this story or this music that you have questions about? Like, even if it's not necessarily interesting to an audience perspective,
So there are very good reasons why I haven't asked you anything about the actual like meat and bones of it, is because I don't want to spoil it for myself or anyone else. And second is that I feel you get the best response from a fertile audience if they have no clue about the meat and bones. Like you've given them an idea, you've given them like a background information, right?
yeah,
You've given them the behind the album cover explanation of what this book is or what this album is, but
yeah.
unless you hear the actual record and you read the lyrics and you like read about it on Wikipedia, you're not going to get the whole experience. So that's why I've kept all of those aspects out of this interview.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but now it's up to you to actually like release the actual well, you're going to release the soundtrack but also the game whenever it's done, no pressure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. That's another weird thing about like trying to put this out because the music is just slowly accumulated as I've been writing it, and I decided that it just sounded fun to put it out anyway. But it's like, especially being in charge of a small record label, as it were, I'm like, how do I release this? Because if it's just an album, or if the video game came out first and it's like the soundtrack to the video game, then that feels significantly easier than saying, coming March 5th, 2021, which is the actual release date.
Right.
The soundtrack to the demo to the game that is in production. So that's part of why I thought that like talking to you about it might be helpful for me anyway, because
I mean, while it has association with the game, obviously because it's a soundtrack to the game, I feel like if it's pieces of music that could stand on their own, because you can tell the story through the songs,
mm,
and then you can play the story through the game, but the story itself gets to live in both domains whenever people get a chance to consume it.
yeah, definitely, and like it works out okay since there is that little demo version, and I think that Game Boy will always have its charm about it, the limitations to the graphics, since it doesn't have Game Boy style music on this version. Like, I think that that'll give a little bit more justice to what I was trying to do with this original version. The color version is going to be significantly updated because this coder is helping me fix the coding, and the visual artists are already doing a little bit of the work on it. Uh, so, even if this isn't a really updated engine version, it's going to have much more of a cohesive vision in mind. And then if we ever get to a point to where I might cut this part from the interview, but I'd like for you to know. So like
Mhm.
I've never done proper crowdfunding before. I thought of a new idea just recently that there are a few ideas that I have right now that I think I've proven to myself enough that if I did ask for people's money in advance, I'd follow through and give them something that's worth it. So I have a few ideas that might be the first time that I try something like that. And then with Gunpowder Tea as a game and as a franchise, I guess is a word to think of it. Ew. I sound like a business person.
Just sold out. Sold out.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
this might be like the first. If we remake the same concept of this new demo in modern hardware and it works and everything's good about it, I think that that'll be a sufficient time to try and do some sort of really big, like, public campaign to get it made.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
There's enough behind the scenes work by that time. It's like there's an album, like a mixtape, I guess. I actually don't know how long this thing is. I know that it's 14 cues, but I don't know how long it is altogether. I think it's only like 15 minutes, if that. But it's going to be a good time to try and garner the attention and support for something like this, because by that time, let's say even it's just this fall, we've been talking about and working on this project for 2 years. So then it's like, hey, we're gonna do the thing, and if you like the music and you like the old version, just imagine if we could make the whole thing with more music and record the soundtrack completely live to tape, and then you can get a 4 LP copy that projects an astral image of like a penguin. I don't know. You can meet Zoe and Loila.
Is it so? Wait, that's not your dog.
Well,
you can say it's our dog. You can say it's in the same flat. So yeah, sure, it's our dog.
They've known each other far longer than I have.
Hello.
Hi.
Lola's coming.
Nice to meet you.
Lola. Oh,
A baby.
this is Lola.
It's adorable.
He doesn't like being picked up.
Hello.
Hi.
What breed is it?
She's mostly Chihuahua and Weenie Dog, I think.
Ah, nice.
I think. I found her on the street when we were.
Because I've seen similar dogs like Joseph, so...
Oh yeah, he has the same size as the Fisher family dogs.
Oh